too far. It's like I'm...
Oh, didn't see you there. It's me, the Yang Zing Master and Dingy Toenail King of the Wise Guys, Tanner McKanna. This weekend I attended the Tulsa Broken Arrow Regional and I ended up getting 5th place. I decided to play the branded deck, aka the gift your opponent a puppet because you're a charitable young man deck. Now, I came to this conclusion. I had been playing Sprite. I took a very long break from the game and came back, and I was dead set. I'm just gonna play Sprite until Nationals. I started testing it post SIAC. Not very good, to be honest. Something about it wasn't very well placed, so I decided I would try the branded deck, and I very much enjoyed it. The maneuverability and just like all the different lines to end up in the same place, giving them a puppet or killing them. I thought the cards were very powerful, so I chose to play it. Before we get into the deck profile, I want to give a couple shout outs. First to our leader and sponsor of the team, Mr. Greg Farley. We must protect him at all costs. Great human being. If you ever catch him at an event, please go talk to him. He's a very wise man. And yeah. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to one of my good friends, Dennis Nodis, who is in the finals of the YCS currently. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to my music conglomerate, WK Music. Please go check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your music. It would mean so much to us if you would. I also want to give a massive shout out to my good friend, Michael Noonan, and to my wonderful girlfriend who encouraged me to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Again after a long hiatus that I took. It means the world to me, and I'm just so blessed to have her in my life. Without further ado, let's get into the deck profile. Alright, so we're going to start with the main deck. I was playing 3 Fallen of Albaz. I had tested 2, but I think that with Kashira being the best deck and just like, it's not even the fact that Diablos, which thank God that card is gone, but it's not even the fact that it, when they do the little zone lock, or if they do, which I don't usually agree with, but when they have it, they have it. It's not even the fact that it can just randomly get banished, but it's also birth, because a lot of times when you like play into birth, you don't really have an option but to activate like a spell card. And so your like Albazes are pretty susceptible, which I mean you can play around it, but you like to have an Albaz in the graveyard already for Cartesia to extend. A lot of times I like to hold my Cartesia or like fusion to you can fusion deployment it out, but like whenever you have Cartesia or you search it off other cards, I like to hold it as like, a second line or whatever. So I think that 3 is the correct number. Obviously 3 Aluber, nothing to be said about that. One of the best cards in your deck. It's really nice summoning it off Sanctifier or Expulsion and getting a free plus on your opponent's turn as well. And yeah. I played 2 Cartesia and 1 Quim. A good friend of mine, Mr. Lixaco, he was really advocating for 2, and I could see an argument to play 2 of this card. But I do feel like there are just like so many like ways to get to it, and it does really, really suck when like maybe it gets banished randomly, but it's like a 1 of in a 40 card deck, so like it's pretty low likelihood. And 2 Cartesia, this was probably the best part of my deck. Like there's like nothing better than hard drawing this card, or like send it off Quim, they make their plays and you bring it out. It's another form of interaction. And really just what this card does is like being able to play on your opponent's turn. The people always say this deck just like dies to 1 Ash Blossom, but like being able to play on your opponent's turn is like super, super massive. There are a couple games where I'd set up like branded loss and branded in red with Quim or like Cartesia on board, and then in the draw phase I would activate, or like Grand Google as well obviously, but in the draw phase I'd activate branded in red, target my Albaz, summon Sanctifier, and then on summon they can't respond while your branded loss is up. So they would just get puppeted and there was no way for them to interact. I mean, really, there's not a whole lot of ways to interact with Sanctifier anyways because it can't be targeted. But that's it for like the whatever you would call these cards. Like it's really weird thinking about the roles in this deck because it's not like any other deck. Like there are a lot of like starter cards, sure, but like most of these cards like fill so many like different roles. It was really one of the weirdest decks ever to like play. I just picked these cards up last week, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but for the 1-on monsters, I'm playing Mercurier, Lubellion, Saranir, Albion the Shrouded Dragon, and Despia and Tragedy.
a lot of people have like recently been like cutting this card or and cutting Lost and Mercurier all together. I mean, you always play these two cards. Like, you can't ever even like side these cards out, to be honest. Like, siding in this deck is tough, but like you can't even side these out because you just need it for like the flexibility. I did try like playing without these two at the locals that I played last week, and honestly, I was playing like more hand traps. Like, I was playing like some Ghost Huggers and like some Veilers or something from some other cards in this deck. You can't ever get rid of these right here. These are quite obvious, like what they do. But you know, like I could see an argument for these two, I don't know, cutting them. But I don't know. I mean, this card, like, it brings a lot just getting branded Lost. Like, your opponent not being able to respond. Like, I tend to like gravitate towards cards like that because they're usually pretty powerful. So like, I don't know though. I mean, I'm conflicted on this card most of all, but Mercurier is nice. It's nice, you know, to get the search sometimes. It's nice for the negate. You know, I wish it was a little bit of a better negate, but and then of course our gift puppet that we give to them. And you know, there's probably some guy out there that plays like the gimmick puppet deck, and he's like, man, these gimmick puppet cards are cool. And he probably went like 5 rounds at locals just getting puppeted. He's like, oh my god. But yeah, you know what this card does. Your opponent can't play. Then I was playing some hand traps. I decided to go with Gamma and Droll because they were the most impactful. Obviously, moving forward, these cards are going to be gone. Droll and Lockbird, I mean, it's really to be decided after, you know, the ban was dropped during this regional. After looking at it, you know, I can't really tell where Super Heavy will be. I still feel like Cashier is probably the best deck. I don't know if this card will be cut. I do like that, you know, we have like 7 defensive slots. And I will say a lot of times, man, I really just wanted like Cosmic Cyclone, which is wild, but like going first or second, the card is very powerful just to hit like a Birth or like hit like a Super Heavy Samurai Scale. Like, that card's actually like super nice, and I really wish I had played it. But obviously for this tournament, that didn't matter at all. These were the best hand traps by far, above and beyond, you know, just like hitting Super Heavy Samurai with like Gamma. There was a lot of times that like Gamma came up. I liked it for the utility of going first when you open Branded Fusion, but I never saw that. But I would see this card going second a few times. And then of course our like power spells, we've got our 3 Branded Fusion, our 3 Branded Opening, our 3 Fusion Deployment, and our 3 Super Polys. Yeah, you know what this does. I mean, let's be real. Branded Opening is like a very powerful card. I like to send it off of Albion, the Shrouded Dragon, sometimes just for like extra layers of protection. I did that in the mirror match a few times. Once again, I haven't played this deck very long, so I'm not like, you know, super well versed or anything. Like, some of y'all might say, oh, well, that's really obvious, but you know, whatever. And you know, just activating this in draw phase so that you don't get drolled. Being able to summon Quim is like incredible. This card became like so much better because I did play this deck way back before when the structure deck dropped. But like being able to summon Quim made the utility of this card like absolutely insane. And then of course our Fusion Deployment, nothing much needs to be said. It's good going first to get to Cartesia. It's good going second to get to Albaz and just get rid of interruptions for free. I still like Super Poly, even though some of the Super Heavy Samurai, like some of the better players were kind of like leaning towards a different board than the usual Appaloosa Baron board. I still found Super Polymerization to be very good. It's good in the battle phase. It's good going first and second. It's like, you know, when you get stopped on your plays, sometimes like you just have these hands where like you need Branded Fusion to resolve. So like just having a Super Poly and just being able to like, you know, pop that boy face down is very nice. Being able to go for game, and it's just nice. And I played a pretty high suite of Super Poly targets. Especially for like the Labyrinth deck. That's kind of scary for this deck, to be honest, like just like background in general because of the way that I built this list. And then for my one-up branded cards, we got Branded High Spirits, Branded Red, and Branded Lost. I really like this card. I didn't play Nadir Servant. I don't play more than 40 cards. I like just having like one Branded and High Spirits. I didn't even play Spriggan, the Iron Dash, whatever. Looking back on it, there were definitely some times where I drew Puppet and I had this card. But to be fair, it's also just really nice to like recur itself back from the grave for like discards for like your Super Poly, your Fallen of Albaz, like your Lubellion. you know, this deck discards a lot, and sometimes you really want to keep, most of these cards are very powerful, you want to keep them in your hand. Branded Lost, I was already talking about it earlier. I mean, they can't respond, and Branded Red is a card that needs no introduction. It's very, very nice to like dodge things. It's cool to like, you know, they cashier birth, target your cards. Branded Red, bring back, like, it's super, super nice. I didn't go into Guardian Chimera once in this entire tournament, however, which was really weird because, you know, I've been playing a lot of Master Duel, and I definitely go into that card a massive amount of times. And then I have Branded Retribution and Expulsion. I'm glad that Branded Expulsion is getting banned. I think that it's more interactive to play around like Sanctifier. This card is very, very good, even though Sanctifier can summon fusion monsters. This card is just amazing because like if you get like shifted or whatever and you get your puppet like banish, like you'll banish your puppet sometimes, and like they can't like play around it at that point, which is very, very nice. And this card, I do really like using it for its actual effect of like negating and recycling like 2 of your branded fusion monsters that you've like either sent off this Mirror Jade or whatever is very, very nice utility, honestly. Like, this is a really, really good card. And my last card is Call by the Grave. You know, between the 3 Gammas and the Call by with the branded fusion, I felt like, you know, I really like this card right now, and I like it also, like I was saying, with like Super Poly, where it's like good going first, you don't have to use it, you'll set it face down. Like Call By's just always been a really good card, and it was my 40th card. There wasn't any like better card to play, really. And so yeah, that's my main deck's 40 cards. For the extra, it's a pretty standard. We are 2 Mirror Jade, 2 Albion, 2 Grand Guggenau. With these guys, like obviously you're gonna play 2 Mirror Jade and 2 of these, but with Grand Guggenau, like I've seen some people only play 1. I really like going into Grand Guggenau on my opponent's turn and like getting the puppet in there on their turn, to be honest. That came up a lot, and there's like so many lines in this deck to like get to the same place, but this card is very, 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 very good, and being able to summon Quim from your deck, since it's treated as a Dogmatica monster, is like insane. And then for the 1-0s, we got Sanctifier, Rindworm, Lubellion, Quartus, and Guardian Chimera. Like I said, I didn't even go into Chimera once this entire tournament, which is really strange because when I've been testing this deck online and like at locals, I go into this card every game. For some reason, it just never came up. And Quartus is amazing. There was a round where, you know, I'll get into my rounds here in a little bit. But yeah, you only need 1 Lubellion, even though like a cashier player might rip it. I play a lot of Super Poly targets. Sometimes they go for that. I don't know, or the Sanctifier. And Rindworm, it's just a really, really nice card, especially the bounce effect. It's pretty cool. We got Mud Dragon, Starving Venom, Garura, and Predaplant for our Super Poly targets. I just wanted to have as many as possible. This slot was the Sprin Dash, Iron Dash, Dragon, or whatever, but I literally don't even own that card, and I couldn't find it. It's like a common. So these cards came up a lot, each and every one of them in their own way. This card being able to stop them from targeting you is like actually insane and comes up quite a bit. And I wanted to play Starving Venom, Fusion Dragon just for the cashier board. When I was playing at locals, I super polyed him, and I was like, oh, I don't really have like a target for this. It can also be used for Pearly. I mean, it's never gonna go off, but I mean, you could potentially attack over it, but it will never ever happen. So that's an extra. And then for the side, I played 3 Kurakara. I saw a lot of people playing Kaijus. I like this card better, even though you have to use cards in your hand to bait in order for this card to achieve value. But the best part about this card is summoning something back from their graveyard, which is not just a like one-time thing either. Also, this card really helps going second. And Cashier was like, from what I had experienced in my very limited testing, a pretty problem matchup. This card answers either board that they make. And if they do try to zone lock you, this card just games them directly. So I would definitely never play like... I wouldn't say never play, but I like Kurakara better than Kaijus. I don't think it's incorrect to play Kaijus. I think Kaijus are just fine, but me personally, I like this card a lot better. Because I'm always siding it for going second, and if I'm going second, I want to like kill them as fast as possible. And then we got our 3 Bishuals. So we side these in for the mirror match, which I played a great deal of the mirror match today. These cards are very, very powerful. Obviously, you know, they need no introduction, and they just have a lot of like cool plays, or like, you know, you might play like a Sprite deck, which is what I've been playing for the longest time. You can distribute for Ibly. It's very, very nice, and these cards are very, very versatile. If you draw a 6 card, obviously you can just banish the Ibly, but you know what I mean. And then we got our 3 1-of cards here. We got our Jinza, our Performapal, and our Banishment. Realistically, I played 2 or 3 Super Heavy Samurai, or maybe I think I played 2 Super Heavy Samurai. Okay. I really found that matchup to not be like super hard because, spoiler, I also sided Dark Ruler. But when looking at my main deck and like thinking of the cards that I wanted to side out, there are already a lot of really powerful cards just like in my deck that out their board either way. And you know, I don't know. This card's good and all, but I don't know. It never came up, I guess, to say. Like I said, I only played 2 Super Heavy Samurais today, and when I played at locals, I haven't yet gotten this card, so I don't know. And Jinza's for like Labyrinth, obviously, or like any trap deck, really. It's a very, very powerful card, very easy to send off your Brand of Fusion or Grand Guggenol. Wait. Yes, Grand Guggenol, sorry. I couldn't remember if it was 5 or not. Dark Ruler came up a couple times, it's alright. Oh yeah, KcCCard is also for the Pearly deck. You need answers to that, which I had Xyz Encore as another answer. Because I really liked the way that it interacted with the Kashtira deck, getting rid of their Arise Heart and then not being able to summon back their materials because Arise Heart's still on the field when they detach the materials, so they'll be banished. I thought that was really good, and I had like a nice little, you know, a little suite right here for my Kashtira matchup, you know, in my Pearly matchup, and then I got my guys for, you know, branded and stuff. So yeah, that's the deck. Banishment is a really, really powerful card. Definitely moving forward after seeing the ban list, I'll probably be moving this to the main deck. And like I said, I'd like to find some room for Cosmic Cyclone, so I'll probably just like get rid of these Dark Rulers and play like, I don't know, some Cosmics. Possibly. Definitely going to be a lot of testing to be had going into Nats. It's really unfortunate that this regional didn't happen with the ban list in effect so that we could all start testing for Nats. Same with the YCS, but I can understand the sentiment with the YCS. So a lot of people pay good money to get out there. It was a really good time. It was good to be back in a top 8. I haven't top 8'd since 2020 before COVID. I haven't really been playing the game very much. So it was very encouraging to top again, and very weird that a common card is the regional top 8 map, but whatever, it is a pretty cool card. So shout out to everybody in Oklahoma, shout out to everybody who watched through this really long profile. I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day, and peace.